What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to break down exactly what happened with Lucid, go over some of the data points and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. With that, let's get right to it. So today it did go down 4.11%, very little volume, so 20.3 million shares have been traded, 32 is the average, and so ultimately it does signal that big money still isn't really getting into Lucid. So these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you see one good one, 3.47 million. Aside from that, very little. And comparing this to almost 2 weeks ago, night and day difference. So big money doesn't really have that much expectations of Lucid, and you can kind of tell that just based on the fact that Lucid's technicals are very oversold, but yet you're not getting the rush of value investors. And looking right here, these are some of the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. So dark pool is very much linked to shorting and just large institutions and whatever. Based on short today, they didn't really do all that much, so they increased 219.65 thousand shares. 26.8% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 235.95 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 21.49%. And one thing did come out very interesting associated to shorts today, and that was this. So good old 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗛, who is the CEO of Palantir, he did have a very interesting message towards shorts. And so I feel like a lot of companies that are very heavily shorted right now could do something very similar just to send a message to shorters and whoever else. And also on a side note, just so you're aware, Palantir's current short interest is 4.8, and so Lucid is well above that. So again, I'm just going to play this 30-second clip.
The lines of cocaine and away from these short sellers who are going short on a truly great American company, not just ours, but just love pulling down great American companies so that they can pay for their coke. And the best thing that could happen to them is we will lead their coke dealers to their homes after they can't pay their bills. And that's like one of my...
Surely all short sellers.
Yeah, well, go ahead, do your thing, we'll do our thing.
As soon as I heard that, I literally started thinking of like Wolf of Wall Street, like that was most epic scene. But still, I feel like Lucid or someone could do something very similar of a message, or better yet, you know what, like the biggest force, the biggest entity behind Lucid, imagine the PIF ever come out and said, you know what, anyone shorting Lucid is going to pay for it. Literally just those like 6 or 5 words, whatever it is, that would send shivers through anyone's fucking spine. So that would be absolutely epic. But aside from that though, you do see a nice kind of upward momentum right now after hour. So it is up 0.71%. That is largely because of this. So Biden is committed to ensuring that US EV industry is successful. And so Yellen is saying that pretty much right after she destroyed the broader market by kind of talking on the deficit and just talking on inflation. So kind of two hot topics, and plus her tone wasn't necessarily the most optimistic. So after she kind of destroys the broader market and a lot of growth stocks, she kind of gives somewhat of a relief, if that makes sense. But leading into today, just Lucid's technicals were not the best. So I'll go over some of the data points and everything that you need to know. Starting off with options, $340,000 in calls being purchased versus 1.63 million in puts. Sentiment wise, very surprising. 73% of all the options being done today are optimistic. Of the call options that are being purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above $3. And then looking at puts, there's a consensus for it to be below, oddly between about $2.50 to $2. So kind of extreme, but that does match the Elliott wave technicals as I've been bringing up, that is kind of pointing to the low 2s coming next. As far as any updates associated to Lucid, there has been no news, no SEC filings, nothing like that. They did come out with this, so a updated referral program. So up until the end of March, you're able to double your rewards. And this is something I did really prioritize and kind of bring up, is about the damn duffel bag. Has anyone seen that duffel bag? Because if you did refer someone who buys a sapphire, that individual gets a duffel bag. So I don't know how, based on the priority, you can somehow say that duffel bag is worth more than, I think, the next big one, which is $1,600 as a reward. I don't understand the criteria, but unless diamonds or money or something is on that actual duffel bag, Who knows? But based on this, that's kind of a good thing. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. So this is a last quarter push. So hopefully their Q1 numbers will be fairly good. This was posted by the EV guy. So it kind of talks on the January and February expectations, or I guess predictions for deliveries. And so far, if they do continue this trajectory of roughly about 600 every single month, they are ultimately going to miss on their year-end numbers. So this is where something needs to really change. So hopefully Lucid does have something up their sleeve. But then again, during their recent earnings, I can't remember that individual's name, the new CFO, the interim CFO, he did say Q1 demand is relatively low. But of course, based on these numbers, I did bring this up yesterday, kind of tends to disagree. So the US EV sales is up 19% year over year. So kind of disagree with them, but who knows? They obviously know better than me. But aside from all of that fun stuff though, with it closing at $2.80, it is between this S2 and this S1. So going into tomorrow and the rest of the week, you'll want to watch this $2.72 to really hold. If not, then it will trend down to this 233, and this is where it'll get kind of close to that Elliott wave technicals, where it does point to the high ones to the low twos being the next target. And so far, the Elliott wave technicals have been very much on point for Lucid. Aside from that though, $2.97 will be that next strong resistance point that you'll want to watch for it to break above. It did actually test that today, didn't really have enough to get above that. Obviously, Lucid did open up fairly positive, just the broader market just wasn't really there for Lucid to kind of propel higher. Plus, also on a side note, Tesla has been getting slaughtered, so whatever happens to Tesla, good, bad, and the ugly, does trickle down to other EVs. But quickly looking right here, so it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, still below a lot of the key pivotal moving averages. You do see a bearish deviation, so red line above the white, but it is at 14, so that is considered very oversold. So as I've said in the past, if there is a good piece of news specific to Lucid, then this is where you could see a nice pop up in the stock price. So maybe Gravity reservations, or based on, I think, my last video, I think a lot of people were just saying, like, why don't they just change the name rather from Gravity to something else, or even Gravity with an I at the very end. That could just change the dynamic and still be able to put that out on time, because if they are going to the patent office, that whole appeal and plus just to schedule a meeting, that could be 6+ months, and I don't think Lucid has that. So probably their best interest right now is just to change the name, even though a lot of people like the Gravity, including myself. They might have to ultimately change it. So again, that could be a piece of news, a good piece of news for them to come out, or even if they are transparent. If they came out with PR, said, hey, you know what? This is where we're at with the Gravity. We want to open up reservations, but this is what our conundrum is. We just want you guys to be aware. I feel like a lot of people, including myself, like, I would appreciate that. I like transparency, so I feel like that could be good. But despite the sell-off today, you can tell retail did buy, despite the lack of institutional buyers. You saw retail getting in today, and so that's kind of a good thing. So if you are one of those individuals that did buy today, give yourself a shout out in the comments below. But aside from all of that fun jazz, let me know your thoughts on Lucid overall. What's your thoughts, for instance, on the Gravity? What do you think about their demand? Do you think that this or these numbers are somewhat optimistic, or did you have higher expectations? What's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And as I always say, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.